Hey Algebra 2 students, this is going to be the video for the worksheet that we did today in class. I'm going to do my best to go over these. I may have to do it in 2 videos, I'm not sure yet. But let's start on problem number 1. Krista and Arthur both need pens and blank CDs. The equation that represents Krista's is x equals 27 minus 3x. And Arthur's purchases are represented by y equals 17 minus x. I'm just copying those over so that we can see what we're working with. If x represents the price of pens and y represents the price of CDs, what are the prices of the pens and CDs? For this one, I think the easiest is going to be substitution because we already have a variable that is solved for. In this case, it's y. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to plug in y in the second equation. For y in the first equation. So I'm actually going to set these equal and say 17 minus x equals 27 minus 3x. And then I'm just going to solve by moving the 17 over. You get 10 on one side. Move the negative 3 over to the other side. So you get 2x equals 10 or x equals 5. And if x represents the price of the pens, then it's going to be $5 per pen. And then, of course, we need the price of our CDs as well. So we're just going to plug that 5 into the other equation for y here and get our answer. So when I plug that in, I get 17 minus 5 is 12. So if y equals 12, it's going to be $12 per CD. That is number 1. For number 2 can be done a variety of ways. A lot of you probably tried to either substitute or eliminate, and you found that you didn't get a solution, and then you got really confused. That's okay. One of the things that you should notice here is that when you simplify both of these equations, we're going to get y equals 2x plus 3. Nothing changed there. But then in the second one, if we divide all the terms by 3, we get y equals 2x plus 2. And if we were to graph these, what you would see is that this one goes through the y-axis at 3, this one goes through at 2. But these two lines on a graph are going to be parallel. And we know that when we have two parallel lines, there's not going to be a point where they cross, so there's not going to be a solution to the system of equations because they're parallel. So this is like saying that these two girls are walking 2 blocks apart in the same direction. Where do they meet? Well, they never will because they're 2 blocks apart and they're walking in the same direction. So for an explanation, you would just say, because the lines are parallel, there is no solution. This one was really tricky for a lot of us, including me this morning. So to furnish a cafeteria, school can spend $5,200 on tables. So the total cost of whatever we're buying is going to be $5,200. And we know that we have to add the cost of our tables and the cost of our chairs. So tables cost $200. So I'm going to say $200 per table, plus the cost of chairs, which is $40 per chair. And then it also says each table will have 8 chairs. So in order to see this, I had to go over and make a table, and I wrote it incorrectly at first because I didn't create the table. So let's write T and C. So for each table, there's going to be 8 chairs. And I originally set the equation up as one table equals, let's get this over here, one table equals 8 chairs. But notice if I plug this answer in and I say, I plug in 1 for T, I get 1/8 for C. And that just doesn't work because then we're working with fractions. But notice if I switch it around and I say 1 chair equals 8, it's going to be 8 chairs per table, and I plug in 1 for T, 1 table is going to equal 8 chairs. So this equation makes a lot more sense, which is what we're going to end up using over here as well. I've told a lot of you this as well, that when you have bigger numbers, you want to use elimination unless you already have a variable that is solved for. I always use substitution if I already have a variable by itself, because it's really easy to just pop down here and then plug this in wherever I see, in this case, the letter C. So I do that, I simplify, I'm going to get, let's see, 5,200 equals 200t plus 40 times 8, I'm sorry, which is going to be the, 320 there. So it's going to be 520t total. Divide both sides by that, you're going to end up getting t equals 10. Once you have that information, plug it back in. Always plug it into the easiest equation. Make it easier on yourself. Work smarter, not harder. So if we have 10 tables, we're going to have 80 chairs. I'm going to put labels on both of those. So that's how you do that one. This can be a little tricky and confusing. Make a table. It's really going to help. I've already got some writing on this slide, and I apologize for that. I'm going to get rid of that right now. So at a store, toothbrushes cost X dollars, and bars of soap cost Y dollars. So if one customer bought 2 toothbrushes at a cost of X dollars and a bar of soap for Y dollars, they spent $11 total. Another customer bought 6 toothbrushes for a price of X and 5 bars of soap for a price of Y, and they spent $38. Both amounts don't include tax, so we're good there. For this one, I am going to show you the process of elimination. You could easily do it the other way as well, but personally, I just want to get you more exposure to both methods. So I'm going to multiply this entire first equation by -3. When I do this, I get -6x minus 3y equals -33. Then I'm going to bring that second equation down, and I'm just going to add down. When I do this, my x's are eliminated, they're canceled out, and I then add the rest. I get -3 plus 5, I get 2y, -33 plus 38 is 5, and I get y equals 2.5. A lot of you panicked, you're like, you can't have a half bar of soap or half a toothbrush, but remember, we're talking about prices and cost in dollars. So this is actually going to be $2.50 per bar of soap. So we are okay with the decimal in this case. We can also just then take this 250, plug it back into the equation up here. I'm actually going to show you that. So 2x plus the 250 for y equals 11. And then when we solve this, we get x equals 11 minus 250 divided by 2 is going to be 4.25 per toothbrush. So in this case, we are totally okay with decimals. This one, I put all of these problems on the same page, and I'll just scroll down as I go. So Mark and Stephanie are playing a game where they toss a dart at a game board hanging on the wall. Points earned from a toss depend on where the dart lands. Pretty basic darts game. Center area is worth more points than surrounding, and each player tosses 12 darts. This is going to come in handy when we're doing problem 7. But for right now, number 5, Stephanie earned a total of 66 points with 6 darts landing in each area. So that's going to be 6 darts in one area plus 6 darts in the other area for 66 points total. Mark earned a total of 56 points with 4 darts landing in the center and 8 darts landing in the outer area. 56, I'm sorry. So again, substitution, elimination, it's really up to you. This one I think is just going to be easier to eliminate, so I'm going to multiply this entire thing. Let's multiply by -2. Yeah, and then we'll multiply this one by 3 so that our x's cancel out. You're going to be working with some big numbers either way. When I simplify those, I get negative 2 times 6x, I get negative 12x, negative 12y, and then 66 times negative 2 is negative 132. In the bottom, I get 12x plus 24y equals 56 times 3, which is 168. Now I can just add those down. My x's eliminate. I get 12y equals, and then the difference between these two is going to be 36. When I solve that, I get y equals 3. And then I just plug that back into one of my original equations. I don't have to plug it into these because these are just a more complicated version of the originals. So I'm going to plug it into this one here. And I get 4x plus 24 because I did that 8 times 3 equals 56. Solve it. 4x equals 32. And I get x equals 8. So you can now find out how many points each one is worth for number 6. So the inner circle, which was x, 8 for inner circle, y equals 3 for outer circle. So that's your answer to number 6. Number 7 was a little tricky in its wording, but if a player gets 10 darts in the inner circle and 2 in the outer circle, the total score is doubled. So how many points would the player earn if he or she gets exactly 10 in the center? Now this is where I said we have to remember that they throw 12 darts total. So this means that they got 10 times those 8 points plus the 2 in the outer circle because they have to have 12 darts total. So times that 3. So their score is going to be 86. But it says if they get 2 in the outer circle, they double it. So we actually have to take that now times 2. We get 86 times 2 is 172. So their score for 7, if they get 10 darts in the middle, is 172 points. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or text me on Remind. I would be happy to help you out.